Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is the Cats Roundtable with John Catsimatidis.
Everywhere around the world, they come to America. Every time that flag's unfurled, they come to America.
Good morning, New York. This is the Cats Roundtable. John Catsimatidis here, Sunday morning, Super Bowl Sunday. We have Steve Cates on what's going on in our skies. John Terrett, the markets finally hit 50,000. Governor David Paterson, Tom Osa, George Borrello, a senator from the west coast of New York, Angelo Vivolo. Columbus is going to the White House. Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, Suzanne Miller, the real estate industry in New York. Catherine Wild, what's happening with the New York City partnership, and she has retired. Rocco Lasciatorsa, are we going to be short on heating oil for the coldest day of the winter? And let's start off with Mike Stoller and the Real Estate Report.
Good morning. This is Mike Stoller for the Stoller Real Estate Report. What's happening in the rental and the condo and the co-op business in New York City? Who's better to answer that is that two young guys who are in the real estate business when they joined together at the age of 23, which was 13 years ago, are my guests today. Lou Adler, the co-founder and co-CEO of Real New York, and his partner, Robert Romani, who is the co-founder and CEO of Real New York also. Thanks for being here.
It's an honor and a pleasure. Thank you for having us.
So how does 2026 look to you with regard to the business that you're in?
2026 should be a very interesting year. We're coming out of one that introduced the FAIR Act, which...
Would you explain to my audience what the FAIR Act is?
Sure. There was some regulation passed in June. The council member in Brooklyn passed it, where basically the broker fee, which was an option to be paid by either the incoming tenant or the landlord, that no longer exists, and now the new law only allows for the landlord to pay our broker fee. So that's been a big transition, and we've seen rents rise tremendously since then. That was back in June of 2025, and we're going into our first year where the FAIR Act is a big part of our business.
Question with regard to you're working on a project on 6th Avenue, 87-floor development. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure, yeah. We're very excited about this project, 989 6th Avenue, right on the southwest corner of 37th Street and 6th Avenue. It's going to be 284 rentals. There'll be an affordable component to it as well, and 27 condos from floors 57 and up, 5 floors of amenity space. And these are, this is a location, we're calling it Bryant Park, Midtown, that hasn't seen a development like this. It's very centrally located, as I mentioned, but the finishes, the facade, the thought that's come through the lobby all the way to the top is state-of-the-art.
Okay, with regard to the other property that you're working on 42nd Street, tell me a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's not too far from where we are right now. It's a building that used to be leased out to a lot of embassy tenants. It's near the UN. On 42nd Street, and the floors 6 through 18 are being converted into apartments now. It's a deep floor plate, so you have some units that are about 60 feet long. And as
we would call the bowling alleys.
Exactly. And now with these bowling alleys, we're getting creative in terms of how to utilize the space as best as possible. So what we're seeing, and you're seeing in many other conversion projects right now, is what they call a Studio Plus or a Studio Plus Plus. Because of the lack of legal light and air, you can't call it a one-bedroom, and you have a long bowling alley unit with an interior bedroom, and we're seeing a lot of that now. great value.
Where are the opportunities for an individual to rent an apartment reasonably priced, if there is any individually placed?
Yeah, I think the highest value in a luxury product is going to be either Financial District or Midtown. When it comes to prime Manhattan, what you're seeing with these conversions from the Pfizer building coming up and coming, like you're going to have something closer to a 90 to 100 per square foot. So, if you're looking at a brand new construction property, that number, like we said, balloons to over 120. So those are the value plays right now. FiDi, Midtown. If you're willing to get out of Manhattan, we're seeing a value still in Clinton Hill, Bed-Stuy, up-and-coming neighborhoods where there's still an allure, but still not as much demand.
What about Harlem?
Harlem, it's funny. Harlem, we have a lot of properties we represent in Harlem, and after COVID, we saw a huge surge into Harlem when everyone moved back into the city, and the rents were just skyrocketing. I think because of the oversupply in Southern Bronx, the oversupply in Mott Haven, it really dropped those rents where we were achieving upwards of 80 a foot. Now it's closer to 60 for new development housing.
So what's your thoughts about 2026 with regard to the rental market?
It's a great question. I think as owners, you look at your rent roll and you can't, it's hard to imagine pushing rents more than 5% in the coming year. And I think there's a tale of two cities. You have your existing product that you have to continue to reinvest in and compete with some of these conversion projects that are coming. And I think those rents and that market is going to see a 3 to 5% increase as we've seen in the last couple of years. Inventory is still short. Demand is very, very high. And then you have the new developments, the luxury new developments that continue to see new highs and continue to get great, great demand. And we're optimistic. I mean, it's every building and every year we get into it, we wonder if the rents are going to go up. This is our 14th year, and we're seeing nothing but green shoots for the rental market.
Yeah, Rob and I thankfully timed the market pretty well since the inception of Real New York. One thing we were also seeing, too, is because of rates is one side of it, but also the current administration, people are a little hesitant to buy right now. It's keeping them in the rental cycle. So I think for that reason alone, we're going to see the rental market continue to creep up. So I would be surprised to not get 3 to 5% increases across the board.
And I'd like to thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Thank you.
The Cats Roundtable.
With us is Rocco Lasatosa, and he is the CEO of the New York State Energy Coalition. He's representing the heating oil industry. Well, Rocco, this is going to be one of the coldest weekends in a long time. Is there enough heating oil to heat our homes?
Yes, there is. There's been a rumor floating around that, there's a shortage. I want to dispel that rumor. There's plenty of supply around. The problem is that the demand has increased so much because of this cold period, the snowstorm on January 23rd, that slowed everything down. We've had issues where the Gowanus Canal was frozen up, and there was a barge stuck in place, and it couldn't make its way to the terminal in Brooklyn where it had to go. We got that cleared, but the other problem was the Hamilton Avenue Bridge was frozen in place, and that delayed that barge for another couple of days. That's been since straightened out, and the fuel is flowing. And they're out there making their deliveries. Heating oil trucks all over the city of New York and Long Island are making deliveries to customers at a fast and furious pace right now, trying to keep up with everything. But this cold weather has just increased demand so much, and we have not seen this in such a long time. So, I have to give a big shout out to the members of the New York State Energy Coalition, the guys and gals who have been out there, working day and night to keep their customers' tanks full. So, they're doing a great job, and we really appreciate what they're doing. So.
Rocco, thank you for the update, and I'm glad that there's enough heating oil to go around, and I'm glad that our people in New York City are going to be warm. Any more snow coming?
I don't know. I'm not a meteorologist, so I can't answer that question. You'll have to see, Channel 4 or Channel 2 or somebody out there maybe to answer that
Rocco,
question. But hopefully,
stay
no
warm. Stay warm
You too.
this weekend. Thank you for your updated report.
Thanks, John.
With us today is Suzanne Miller. She's the founder of the Empire State Properties. You have your own podcast and the Miller Report. How do you feel about New York and residential property?
So John, I've done a deep dive, and I'm pretty bullish on the market in New York. I'm very bullish. The high-end market is driving the surge. We're back to 2016 prices. So the average price right now for a residential home in a luxury market is above $6.5 million. That's $6.5 million, John. That's a lot. And there were 1,200 closed deals just last year at that price. So I have to ask myself, what's driving this? So first of all, it's been a very good year for the stock market. The bonuses on Wall Street are back. And these are cash buyers. The foreign investors are coming back to New York.
And the Dow Jones has hit over 50,000 finally.
Exactly. So you're seeing a big surge in the luxury market, but the average market is also up. Year to date, we're up almost 7% on transactions. That's just on sales. An average one bedroom in New York is $1.5 million. And rentals are booming too. So the rental market is about 7% higher than it's been, and it's such a low demand, low supply, that the prices are just going up. And we need to build. We have an affordability issue. And the big news right now are the conversions. There's going to be about 20,000 new units coming on the market because there's millions of office to resi coming up. So we're going to look out for that. And it's just been a very good year. Retail's rebounded.
Are foreigners back buying real estate, buying condos? Because that's what fueled the market last time.
Yes, all of a sudden we've got China back. We've got South Korea. We've got Japan. They're coming back. Israel. I'm surprised. It's really turned around. So, a lot of this, the new numbers have not yet come out because Mamdani's just been there a short amount of time. So I'm talking about closed deals for 2025. So we'll see what happens. This is really all due to the last administration. But for what's happened in 2025 and going forward, John, what do I always say? Never bet against New York, and I'm not. And I think that we're going to see, it's been a very good year. And what's also driving this is there's a very low vacancy in the office leasing market. The office leasing market we're full till 2031 on Class A buildings. B buildings are coming up. And it's just people want to be in New York. It's a safe haven.
Well, I love New York. I hope we fix New York. I hope New York does even better. And thank you so much, Suzanne Miller, for coming on this Sunday morning. And keep going good with your everything you do.
Thank you, John. Thank you. And never bet against New York because it's still great. Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you for listening to the Cats Roundtable. We'll be right back right after this break.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to the Cats Roundtable. Like every Sunday, Governor David Patterson is with us. Governor, what's up tonight?
Well, it's very interesting, John. It's Sunday, February 8th. February 8th is an important date in American history, and we don't know anything about it. It's very interesting. Orangeburg, South Carolina. This is after the 1964 Civil Rights Act and after the 1965 Voting Rights Act. There was one bowling alley in that county that refused black men, women, or children to come in and bowl. So on the night of February 5th, 3 days before, they had a rally outside of the bowling alley It was nonviolent. It was just a protest. But then on February 8th, they came back and they had another rally. In the middle of the rally, police came out from the bowling alley. They fired guns. They hit 27 people. They killed 3 males and injured seriously 13 other people. It was shocking. But what the people in the county did was they went as far as they could to cut off this story from the national media so they wouldn't be exposed, and were able to bring the other elements of the community together, and eventually the bowling alley was converted and it became accessible to all people who wanted to bowl. But the serious aspect of this situation are the many incidents in history that we celebrate in Black History Month, but I've always said that Black history is American history.
I didn't realize that, and I don't think too many people know about it.
I didn't know about it until a few years ago, and then I forgot. But I thought about it the other day and thought I'd share it with the listeners.
Well, thank you for sharing it. And tell us, what else are you thinking about this Sunday morning?
We're in an interesting period right now where I'm not exactly sure how the mayor was unable to recover from saying that he wasn't going to close down the homeless encampments, and then was advising the police not to do it and other city workers not to do it. And now here we are. John, this is 2 weeks after that snowfall, and if you went outside and looked around, you'd think it happened yesterday.
There's a lot of snow on the ground still, and it's starting to be solid. Have you ever seen that before?
I've never seen a snowfall. I've seen some major snowfalls in 3 or 4 days, and then there's a rain and it goes away. But I've never seen a snowfall where 2 weeks later, if you took pictures, it looks exactly the same as it did on the Sunday, the 25th of January, when the snowfall came.
You can't access some of the streets at all. You have to get to the corner.
I know. The day that we had the celebration of Sid Rosenberg's 10 years here at WABC, when I was leaving, I had to go over this snowbank. When I came down, I tried to turn and fell flat, on my stomach. That was a minor inconvenience.
Tell us what else you'd like to talk about on Sunday. I understand that Kathy Hochul has picked a new lieutenant governor.
Kathy Hochul picked her new lieutenant governor. She was the speaker of the New York City Council, Adrienne Adams. She's a very affable person. She fights for her issues, but she's a great person to know. And for some reason, the entire Brooklyn delegation wrote a press release saying they aren't accepting Adrienne Adams as the lieutenant governor candidate, and they're not accepting Kathy Hochul as the gubernatorial candidate.
Oh, my God.
Now, this is ridiculous. Now, first of all, I grew up in Brooklyn. One thing you got to know about people in Brooklyn, they always feel like they're being played. When I lived there, like someone's doing something to us. But this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of, and I understand that a number of the delegates who were pronounced to be part of this secession from supporting Governor Hochul, a number of them have said that they did not actually vote on it. So hopefully for Kathy Hochul, they'll turn it around. But it's one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen happen.
I hope the city comes together, and I just worry about it. The traditional is give the new mayor 100 days, and I hope he does a good job, because I love our city.
Well, one of the sad things about leadership, John, is if you don't jump on an issue in time and it gets ahead of you, you spend the rest of your time trying to catch up. He's trying to catch up now. Perhaps he can, but that initial decision put him in a hole that's hard to dig out of, no matter how high the snow is.
Well, 17 people died.
Yeah, and
I understand it. Unless I'm wrong, you tell me that the police commissioner said we should move these people off the streets. And I thought I have read that he told her not to.
Well,
is that true or not true? I don't know.
I'm not exactly sure what their conversation was about, but not just that the people died, but the way they died and lying in the street moaning right before their death, and other people heard them. It's a lugubrious situation to happen in the city at a time when we thought we could come together with new leadership.
Governor, thank you for coming on this Sunday morning, and God bless you and God bless America.
Thank you, John.
The Cats Roundtable.
With us today is Catherine Wild. She was president and CEO of the nonprofit organization, the Partnership for New York. She was. Well, how does it feel to be retired for a week?
It's busier than working. I'm enjoying being a free agent, but I still have a great network of friends. The leaders of New York's business community, we are so lucky that they are people who care deeply about the city, who come together in the partnership to make our city stronger and create more opportunities, create jobs, work with the Department of Education on making sure kids are prepared for jobs. I've had a great career. I was there 44 years, 25 years as its CEO, and I continue to appreciate that network of great business leaders and hope to continue to help the governor and the mayor and the business community work together.
We're in the first 100 days of the new mayor. Tell us how you feel.
Well, I actually had the opportunity to sit down with Mayor Mamdani on Monday to catch up, and basically I asked him how I can help him build the broad coalition that he committed to during the campaign, and he is eager to do that. I mean, he's, I think, 37 days into his mayoralty, and he's still working on appointments. The business community is waiting to see who he puts into the Economic Development Corporation. There's some concern about the name Economic Development, which suggests growth. There's some concern that that name has been changed to Economic Justice, so I think that it's going to be important to hear what that means. My sense is that he wants to continue to have an economy that creates jobs, that produces good tax revenues, and I think we all want to be able to help him do that.
And I understand the governor this week selected the former speaker of the city council as her lieutenant governor. How do you view that?
I think Adrienne Adams is a terrific choice for that job. She's a great person. She did a good job at the city council in terms of having a very balanced approach to managing herding cats on the council. Not easy. I think she's a very good choice for that job. I've known Adrienne for a long time, and I've always had the most respect for her.
Is this the first former speaker that gets anywhere in life?
That's a good question. Well, that goes on to higher office. Yes, I would guess that this is the first former speaker to go on to higher office. And I think that she'll be a great partner. I think that Adrienne is somebody who's not looking for the governor's job, so she's not going to be a political albatross. So I think it's a good choice. I mean, she's somebody that I ranked in the mayoral primary, so I obviously had confidence that she has a lot of talent and has a lot of leadership ability.
I mean, you were one of the most powerful leaders in New York City. Between the CEOs of all the big banks and the big pharmaceutical companies, are you going to miss sitting down with them every day?
I've always defined power by how you use it. And so I think it's important that, I want to continue to help powerful people use their power in the most constructive ways possible. And right now, I think we've got to be looking very closely at the national situation. I know you have great sympathy for immigrants and for them being able to find a path to citizenship and to work in our country. very worried about that right now. I think that we've got to find solutions. So I plan to continue to focus on that issue and how we can get federal immigration reform. Yes, protect our borders, but welcome in people of talent and commitment who want the opportunity to be part of America. And I think that mission has gotten lost in all the fights over deportation and throwing people out. I think we've got to focus on much more on how we attract the best and the brightest from across the world to come into our country.
And we just have to avoid bringing any criminals into in our countries. That's the big item.
Totally agree, and that is something that we really have talked about for 20 years. I worked with Rupert Murdoch and Mike Bloomberg 20 years ago to say, let's have a positive immigration policy, and we just have not done that. Other countries, Canada, Australia in particular come to mind, have done a good job of creating a strong, positive immigration policy that has helped them attract talent. We've got to do the same thing in this country and refocus our attention on that. I'm hoping that will happen in the coming year.
Thank you for coming on, Catherine Wild. You're still young, and a new adventure is going to lie in front of you, and let's talk again real soon.
Thank you so much, John. I always appreciate being with you.
Thank you for listening to the Cats Roundtable. We'll be right back right after this break. Welcome back to the Cats Roundtable. With us today is Senator George Borrello, Chautauqua County up in upstate New York. Last week, you had a big loss in the state senator's race. What happened?
Let me start off by saying, John, that while we did certainly lose that seat in a special election, it was really kind of designed to be a short runway, a short turnaround. The governor announced the election, and 5 weeks later there was a vote. So we were facing a lot of difficulties and a lot of headwinds. But we had a fantastic candidate, Dan Gagliardo, small business owner, restaurant owner up in Amherst, New York, and he did a great effort, a great campaign, and in the end, he actually outperformed how we did in that same seat, a heavily Democrat blue district in Erie County. He performed better than we did in 2024 in that same seat. So this speaks volumes, especially in the current environment where we're seeing Republicans losing races in districts around the United States. While we did not get the outcome that we want, we have an opportunity for a rematch in November for that same seat, and we're looking to fight for that. And it I think gives hope that we did outperform previously, and even in a seat that could have been a much bigger loss, we were able to hold our own. So we're going to look at this as a positive, and hopefully it is a signal that New Yorkers are starting to get fed up with what they're seeing in Albany and ready for change.
What else is going on in Albany that you're concerned about?
We have budget hearings going on right now in Albany, and I had a chance to speak with the woman who is the head of mental health services, the commissioner of mental health. And I asked about something that troubles me. There's something out there called Kendra's Law. Kendra's Law is actually named after a friend of mine, Kendra Webdale, who back in 1999 was pushed in front of a subway train by a severely mentally ill person. Kendra's Law allows for involuntary commitment of people who have mental illness for 72 hours. When it's used, it's been effective. The problem is it's not used enough. Fast forward to now, myself and former Senator Diane Savino from Staten Island were championing to strengthen Kendra's Law. And it finally happened last year in our New York State budget. We got a very important addition that if you are unable to provide basic needs for yourself due to your mental illness, you can be brought in for evaluation. If you cannot provide yourself with food, clothing, shelter, that this is a sign that can be used to bring someone in and try and get them the help that they need. And why this is concerning is because we are actually seeing improvements around the state already with this improved Kendra's Law, but not in New York City. Why? Because unfortunately, this new administration, the Mamdani administration, has said they're not going to...
By the way, isn't that where the subways are?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
What good is Kendra's Law without a subway system?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, The problem now is that Mamdani is going to reverse the policy of Eric Adams, and he is going to leave these homeless camps in place. He is instructing the police officers not to. I questioned the commissioner, how are you going to make sure that New York City is in compliance with Kendra's law if you're not getting help from New York City's police department and mental health departments? She didn't have a good answer. So people in New York City and throughout New York State really should be concerned. I was in New York City recently, and I saw an unbelievable mess of homeless folks right on Park Avenue and Fifth Avenue. I mean, these areas that, again, doesn't matter where they are. It's the fact these folks can't care for themselves, that should be taken in for an evaluation, should get the help that they need. We have turned our streets of our cities into mental institutions, and these people are suffering without treatment. And Zohar Mamdani is about to make that colossally worse.
Thank you, Senator George Borrello from Chautauqua County in Western New York, and God bless you and God bless America.
Thank you.
The Cats Roundtable.
What the heck is going on in Washington? I'm on with one of our favorite Congresswomen Claudia Tenney. And Congresswoman, we're past the problem of funding for at least a few weeks. And next week, I understand, Mike Johnson has said that they want to put together the bill that allows only American citizens to vote.
Yeah, well, this is called the SAVE Act. And this is a really important issue. There's nothing more important in a constitutional republic that we have than protecting our sacred right to vote. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that it's one citizen, one vote. And interesting, our own New York Court of Appeals ruled that you have to be a citizen to vote in our elections. That was part of our state constitution, and they upheld it, even though they're a left-leaning, if not far-left court. And the same is true of our U.S. Constitution. So what we're trying to do is make sure that we have states across the nation making sure that is one citizen, one vote in our elections. That's actually the foundation of a constitutional republic. It's we the people who are pay taxes, the people who are citizens, the people who consent to be the governed in our communities. So it's really important. The SAVE Act would just say that we have to have U.S. citizens and you have to prove that you have citizenship. And this is a huge winner. 95% of Republicans support it, and probably those other 5% would too, but they don't know enough about it. Over 70% of Democrats, and even Stacey Abrams, the famous Georgia candidate Democrat, she changed her position and said that she supports voter ID and making sure that we can secure the vote with citizens only. In a first world country like the United States, this is required. If you want to go to a bank, if you want to pick up a check, if you want to do anything with the physician, anything that's important in your life, you have to show that you are the person receiving those services and that you are who you say you are, proving that through a valid ID. The reason the Democrats oppose it is because they want to be able to undermine our election integrity, undermine our sacred right to vote, pour non-citizens into our country and get them to turn the results in elections and change the outcome. That is against everything we stand for. It's not democratic, as they claim it might be, and there is nothing discriminatory about requiring that. And I will just tell you, John, really quickly, I was able to be one of the official observers of the Honduran election in November last year. They have a very secured right to vote. You have to go in, and not only as you go into your precinct to vote, there is a picture with your name under it, and those people who are allowed to vote in that particular precinct. And when you go in, they use biometrics to make sure that you say you are who you say you are. You also have to provide a valid ID and proof that you reside in the district that you're voting in. So this is almost universally required around the world, and only in the most worst regimes where they have authoritarianism and they have no real rights as for citizens do they actually not require it.
What else do you feel real passionate about?
Right. Well, look, the big issue going on right now is this, defund and demoralize the police movement that was popularized back in 2018.
They managed to take all the money missing off the front page, and that's what they did. In other words, if there's between all the blue states, if there's $100 billion missing, so they spend another few $1 million in shipping in people that are stirring the pot on something else.
That's exactly right. This is all to cover up the fact that there is massive fraud, abuse, and waste going on. The Quality Learning Center doesn't get talked about now except with Republican circles. But this is an economic crime, and you're also seeing, these crimes are happening against law enforcement, people interfering in a law enforcement officer's execution of a warrant, and it's very important. These are specific procedures that they're doing. This is not just a cop on the beat walking down the street. These are people that know that there's a person that are dangerous criminals. They're going into to find them and to apprehend them. And we also don't know, and what these protesters don't know and don't care about, is these are dangerous people, and they may have innocent people that they're living with that could be in harm's way. And that is happening. And when you have this anti-police movement, you're going to create dangerous situations and tragedies that have happened in Minnesota. And unfortunately, this could happen elsewhere. And Kathy Hochul has now brought this terrible law and this terrible lack of working with our law enforcement to New York. You know, the 287G program is a federal program that allows our local officials to work with ICE. And you know why this was created? Because, 9/11 was the largest terrorist attack in our nation's history in our greatest city. And the 9/11 Commission, bipartisan, came out and said, our police need to work with each other. They need to be able to work with each other. And this is why the 287G program is there. Unfortunately, under Governor Cuomo, we passed a law that said that they can't work with each other. The DMV records can't be put out, and this makes it difficult. Now, Kathy Hochul is threatening some of the jurisdictions in upstate New York, particularly, and in Long Island, Nassau County, where Bruce Blakeman is the county executive, and our nominee looks to be possibly for governor. She is going after them when they're trying to keep their residents safe. I might add, Steve McLaughlin has always complied with the 287G program and always allowed his local law enforcement in Rensselaer County to work with the federal police. So this is important that we have police work together to keep our communities safe, so we don't have another 9/11, which could very well happen with the way that this lawlessness is going on.
Claudia Tenney, thank you so much for coming on this Sunday morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Great to be on.
Let's go up to Rockland County, and with us today is Tom Osa, and he is the president of the Rockland News. Every Sunday we go to different counties. What the heck is going on in Rockland County?
Well, there's a lot going on, John. Thanks for having me on. The latest and the greatest right now is that the Palisades Center has been sold to BD Palisades Holdings officially through an auction that was held in New York City on February 4th. Original value was around $460 million. It went for a song at $175 million. So within a 10-minute time frame, approximately $290 million worth of value was just wiped out. But that doesn't mean that the mall is going anywhere anytime soon. Multiple sources identified that the mall is going to stay, at least for the time being, in the same shape. As a matter of fact, Spinoza...
Was it a foreclosure? What was it? What happened?
Yeah, so BD Palisades Holdings, they ultimately obtained the note from the previous holders of the property, Wilmington Trust. And apparently the previous management, they were essentially defaulting on the debt for years and years. This had been going on through the court system all the way through COVID. And essentially, Wilmington Trust, they handed over the note to BD Palisades Holdings, otherwise known as Black Diamond Capital Management. And they'd been filing grievances with the town of Clarkstown for overtaxation. They ultimately settled on the value of the property at approximately $300 million. But then in the court auction yesterday, BD Palisades Holdings was ultimately the winner of the auction. Nobody else bid on the property whatsoever, and within a 10-minute time frame, approximately $290 million worth of value was wiped out, at least on the books.
Now, what else is going on? Is business good up in Rockland County? What is going on?
Yeah, I'd like to say that it's Monza, as one would say. There's a lot of activity. Residential and commercial housing has been an issue over the last several years, obviously. A lot of migration from New York City to upstate and downstate New York. There is currently a deficit of approximately 7,000 units residential that is being addressed over the last several months. There were several approvals of various properties. For instance, Impact down in Haverstraw, which is going to hold approximately 400 units over there. On the commercial side, you have the Shops at Nanuet, which was recently purchased by Alexander Properties, LLC, and it's now being shaped into what's known as the Nanuet Town Center. And it's aiming toward mixed-use, transit-oriented development because they're literally about 1 mile away from the local train station, and they have really, really big plans for the property. And they're negotiating with the town for some zoning variances so that they could do residential and commercial. It's a beautiful property, John.
Now, Rockland News, you're the president of Rockland News. If somebody wants to, is away from Rockland, is from Rockland originally, you have a website they can go to?
Yes, sir. It's rocklandsnews.com. We get we're a small outfit. We get about 500,000 views per year. Last few years, we get about 4 million views on social, and we cover a variety of issues, mostly just looking about the future trajectory of Rockland. Last year, our main issue was residential and commercial housing. Now we're getting into traffic. There's a lot of traffic issues that are happening, a lot of accidents. Clarkstown just got approved for $1.8 million to do some traffic overhauls on the main highways and also some studies that were federally approved.
Well, Tom Ossa, thank you so much for coming on this Sunday morning. And if you have any big news to report, you know where to find us.
Thanks, John. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Cats Roundtable. We'll be right back right after this break. Welcome back to the Cats Roundtable. With us today is Steve Cates, also known as Dr. Sky. Well, Steve, there's so many things happening. Where do you want to start?
Well, good morning, John. President Trump, of course, being behind this new generation F-47 jet fighter. Just a little bit of an update here, John. These are called Generation 6 aircraft. What's that? These are aircraft that fly upwards of maybe Mach 2 and beyond. They also have the capability of flying autonomous with the thing called AI. And the United States is hoping to build maybe 185 of these very high-tech jet fighters. But hold the phone, because the Russians are also developing the MiG-41. They claim to have an aircraft that can go out to the reaches of maybe near space. And China, of all people, John, they're building the J-36 called the Chengdu. And that particular aircraft also has some mysterious properties, but all for more than Mach 2, maybe some hypersonic. Lots of technology going on there.
Steve Cates, I understand the Artemis 2 by NASA is being postponed to March or something. Would you tell us what happened?
John, from what we know, and this is pretty much unofficial at this point, some fuel leaks on this particular big SLS rocket. So obviously we don't want to launch rockets that, don't make it to space. So that's basically the delay. So they're pushing toward early March, and here's the reason. Specificity. There's certain launch windows that you have to do if you're doing a lunar voyage. So the one that was in February, which was right around now, maybe up to the 11th, they're going to have to wait until the next launch window, but they have some problems to fix before they do that with so-called leakage inside some of those propellant tanks.
What else would you like to talk about this Sunday morning?
Well, John, people around the world have been noticing the largest sunspot of solar cycle 25. It's so big. I was just out the other day with those, eclipse glasses, and I could see it with the naked eye. How big is it? It's from the Earth to the Moon in distance, over 200,000 miles. It blew out an X flare on the 8th scale. I mean, it was a powerful solar flare. So we're not done with solar cycle 25. But here's something interesting. Since the sun, John, is a big fusion ball, people always ask, how long does it take the sun to rotate? So along its equator, this particular star, which we love and depend on, it rotates at the equator about once every 25 days. And toward the poles, slower motion. This is all magical stuff in the world of fusion. And again, John, can you imagine? There's probably 100 billion or trillion stars in this particular galaxy of ours. Imagine how many of them, if they're like our sun. Who knows? Maybe there's life, maybe somewhere out there. The odds look like that's more than likely.
It seems to be between the Earth, the planets, Mars, there seems to be always some, or even the asteroids, some sort of life, whether you call it life or not, but it looks like there's something.
Well, John, that mystery goes on, but how about the mystery of the week? Here's a lighthearted one. And here's the question. How accurate has Punxsutawney Phil been over the years? Well, the simple answer, John, is not too accurate. He's accurate about 35 to 39% correct over the past century. And that's since 1887, when they predicted the winter 109 times. The accuracy of Punxsutawney Phil was only 39%. But closer to home, John, this is amazing. Let's go to Staten Island Chuck, Charles G. Hogg at the Staten Island Zoo. John, he was right 85% of the time, and allegedly he actually bit a former New York City mayor. So we go on to look at this particular
and that mayor ended up dropping him, and he died.
So you're telling me that poor Staten Island Chuck is no longer around? That's amazing. How sad.
Yes,
but anyway,
he might have been right 80% of the
accurate.
time until he met Mayor de Blasio.
Oh my gosh, John! No, that is so sad. I never knew that. So these are the things you learned on the Cats Roundtable. That is so incredible, John. But again, Punxsutawney Phil, as they say, he's probably ready to retire. But what did he do, John? He saw his shadow. So we have 6 more weeks as of when he did it on the 2nd. And that continues to be very cold and oppressive for many parts of the nation due to the polar vortex.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, and let's catch up again real soon. And I always listen to you on Friday night from 12 to 2, and Saturday morning and Sunday night and Sunday morning at 12 to 2. Thank you so much.
John, thanks for the opportunity, and you have a great Sunday and a great Valentine's week.
The Cats Roundtable.
With us today is Angelo Vivolo. He's the president of the Columbus Heritage Coalition. Columbus statue that was toppled in Baltimore is on the way to the White House. Angelo Vivolo, tell us about it.
Well, John, thanks for having me on this Sunday. I can't tell you how delighted I am and the entire Italian-American community for the great support that President Trump and the decision that he made to bring the statue to the White House and have it on the White House grounds. This statue, as you know, as you said, was destroyed and put into the Baltimore harbor. And it wasn't an Italian-American who fished it out. It was just a great American who fished it, who got it out of the water and had his son reconstruct the statue. And they had it for a while. And it wasn't until President Trump reached out to them and said that he wanted to take that statue and put it on the grounds of the White House. I can't tell you how much I appreciate and how much the Italian-American community appreciates what he's doing. I mean, it's just incredible. I hope, God willing, I get the opportunity to shake his hand and thank him in person someday, because he did an incredible gesture. And it's not only, it shows support not only for the Italian-Americans, but it shows support for those people who other statues that I'm sure will probably be added to this collection of statues on the grounds of the White House, celebrating contributions that people have made throughout the years, and it just preserves our history. I can't say enough about how wonderful this is, and thank you, John, for allowing me to speak out and to acknowledge this great thing, give recognition and appreciation for what the president has done.
Well, I am so glad that the president is supporting the Italian community, and he's a New Yorker, and he knows how important the Italian community is in New York too, and all the good work that you do, and and I'm part Italian too, and I was very happy to hear it, and I would hope that if there's a Democratic administration in the future, that they commit to leave the Columbus statue up.
Oh, God, yes. God willing, I hope that happens, and I think that this support by the president, it shows nationally, not just our great New Yorkers, but it shows nationally that he believes in supporting Christopher Columbus and the great accomplishments and contributions that he made. At the statue at Columbus Circle, it states that to the world he gave a world. So he did, for whatever you want to believe that of the negative comments that are made about him, which are untrue, it's a wonderful gesture of support that the president has given, and the Italian American community is extremely grateful for what the president has done.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, and Angela Vivolo, whatever you need, we support the Italian community like other communities. But thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you, John, and it's a pleasure to be on.
It's Sunday morning. John Terrett is with us. John, give us an update.
Well, it was a real roller coaster, the like of which we have seldom seen. And, of course, it ended on a high note. But let me go back a step or two, because there was a big tech sell-off, as you know. And the reason for that was that there's a fear on Wall Street that AI is now going to take our jobs sooner than we thought and reduce the need for quite so many software companies. Now, these software companies who either make software or use it, of course, are very high-value companies on Wall Street. And clearly, they're not all going to survive over time, just like some of them didn't back in the dot-com bubble era in 2001, 2002. And Wall Street worries that some of these companies are spending too much on capital expenditure on their AI, things like data centers and microchips and other paraphernalia. But at the same time, Wall Street is concerned that there might be a fear of missing out. They wonder if these companies are right and they invest all this money, will we be left holding the baby, as it were? Now, what happened last week, a company called Anthropic from San Francisco basically put out an update to an AI legal tool that it has. And this legal tool is so sophisticated, it can destroy basically all the other legal software out there. It's better than they are, and it's AI. And it also reduces the need for so many lawyers as well. So this sparked the sell-off. But it's not a new fear, because we've been talking about this for the last 2 years. So I'm not really sure why it caught fire last week in the way that it did, but Anthropic seemed to have been the starting point. And then on top of that, you've got Alphabet, Google, and Amazon beating their earnings expectations or coming in line. But again, their expenditure on AI capital expenditure completely overshadowed their very good earnings, and Wall Street marked them down sharply. That dilemma again, are they spending too much money on this or not? In total, they're spending about $650 billion, by the way, in the next couple of years, all these tech companies together. So that marked the beginning of quite a bad sell-off last week. Of course, the other story was Bitcoin, which was about half the value of its highs from last year. Now, the crypto community says, look, don't worry about it. This wasn't the biggest fall we've seen with Bitcoin. We call it a crypto winter. Everything's going to be okay. And so we turned to Friday, and it turns out that things were okay, because Bitcoin shot up by about 12%. It was around $70,000 per token, whereas it had been down to 62, 63, something like that. And of course, as you predicted, and I know that you're always right, but as you predicted...
Not always. But more so than not.
Dow did it. Well, it did it. You told me this was going to happen, and I've been agreeing with you for the last 3 months. And then on Friday, at 2:23 p.m. in the afternoon, the Dow crossed over 50,000 for the very first time. So there was a strong recovery on Friday in stock. So that's why I say it's been quite a roller coaster of a week. And then just quickly looking ahead to the week to come, Tuesday we hear from Coca-Cola, Harley-Davidson, Hasbro, Mattel, the toy companies, and Ford. On Wednesday we got CVS Health and McDonald's, and the jobs report, of course, Jobs Wednesday coming up. Very unusual. Thursday, Coinbase, which is a cryptocurrency exchange. And next Friday, we get CPI, the inflation data. I wonder whether it will be as exciting.
What is the pulse? Why did Bitcoin fall so much? What is the rumors in the street?
Well, the problem is that, unfortunately, Bitcoin, as you well know, is not really tethered to anything. So the dollar, for example, is tethered to the full faith and credibility of the United States and the United States government. Crypto is just where it is because people want it to be where it is. And it's all based on sentimentality with crypto. And unfortunately, the sentimentality just ran out in the middle of last week, along with all the other geopolitical stuff that's going on in the world. People just lost their nerves, and enough big investors just decided to cash out. But the important thing to remember is the crypto community, the diehards, they don't care. They reckon this is just a crypto winter. We've seen it before. Everything's going to be okay.
Thank you so much, and we'll catch up with you again real soon.
Yep, see you next Sunday. Thank you, John. Thank you.
The Cats Roundtable.
If you ever miss a segment or want to hear it again, go to WABCRadio.com, go to podcasts, go to minicast, and play back your favorite segment. Thank you for being with us for the Cats Roundtable Local Edition, the #1 show on Sunday mornings in New York. Keep listening to us for the Cats Roundtable National Edition between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. So we'll be back to you in a few minutes after the news.
Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.